So here's the ingredients for making the taco meat. I'm going to start off with the chipotle and adobo, remove the adobo, and use that as the binder on the 2 chuck roasts. So we'll start with opening up the adobo, the chipotles and adobo, and removing the chipotles into another dish I have here, so that I have just the adobo sauce to use as a binder on these chuck roasts. I've already started up the smoker, 250 degrees with some apple and hickory. So that should be stabilized by the time I get everything done here. So what I'm left with is just this gorgeous adobo sauce. It will make a nice binder on these chuck roasts to allow the fajita seasoning to stick. Start by giving this a nice coating, just a thin coating, just as a binder, all the way around both of these chucks. I went for 2 chuck roasts about the same size, just to try and make this an even cook on the smoker. I just think that this adobo is going to add a nice extra oomph to the meat as it cooks. Plus, of course, giving the rub something to stick to. Make sure you get all sides. Now I'm using the Dia de la Fajita rub from Meat Church. I just love the taste of this stuff. I don't know why I did that. Get it up and just give a nice even coating over the whole thing. Make sure you get every side. Make sure you get the edges as well. I like using these chuck roasts because they have nice intramuscular fat. Helps break down, render, and makes them very tender, very juicy, very flavorful. Okay, let's get these onto the smoker. I've got the Char Griller Gravity 980 set to 250 degrees. I've got some apple and hickory inside. This has been going for about a half hour to stabilize. And let's get these on the smoker. I'm going to position them and kind of push them in there to make them not stretched out. Keep the meat from being too compressed, because it's going to smoke the way that it sits. We'll get that closed up, and we'll check back in a couple of hours. Okay, it's been 2 hours. Let's take a look. Okay. Definitely a nice crust on here. The bark is pretty well set. Let's take a look and see what we got the temperature at here. Remembering this is going to be finished in the crock pot. 140, 140. So, because meat doesn't tend to take any more heat after 140 degrees, because meat doesn't tend to take any more smoke after it reaches 140 degrees, I'm going to go ahead and pull this right now. And now the meat has been allowed to rest overnight after 2 hours of smoking. I kept it in the fridge, just sectioned up. It's going to go into the crock pot. And this is a double recipe because I'm feeding a crowd at work tomorrow. When you get that in the crock pot, I'm going to just slice up an onion here. Nothing special about this, of course. I always remove the first layer of actual onion flesh because it tends to be rubbery. Not that it's terribly important on a cook like this. And it just needs to be sliced. Then I've got about 10 of these Hatch green chilies. I've already taken and roasted and seeded them. And these were actually stored in my freezer after I roasted them. Just get those in there. And 2 cans of this El Pato Salsa de Fresco. I love this stuff. It's same thing my mother always used when I was growing up, so it's been part of tacos, burritos for me pretty much my whole life. Those on there. Now, because we already put a rub on this meat before we put it in the smoker, there's not a whole lot else needed. You could squeeze a lime onto it. If you're doing this from a raw piece of meat, I would add some salt, pepper, and garlic. I might add a little bit of garlic later on. I will give it a taste. But now we're just going to get this cooking on low. For about 8 hours. And that's it. We'll see you back in 8 hours. Okay, so the meat is cooked at 8 hours on low. Let's take a look. Now this is exactly what we're looking for. If you look here, you can see the meat is just shredding, it's just falling apart. And we do have a little excess fat here, so I'm going to pull that. We don't really need that. Toss that in this plastic bag. And then shred the meat as I go. Let's get a taste of this meat, shall we? That's good. Nice bit of smoke, not too hot, great spice blend.